Listen, you're watching this video because you identify as being brilliant but broke. I've got good news. Just by you watching this video, you qualify to turn your situation around because you have everything that you absolutely need. After watching this video, you'll know the exact play to run in order to increase your income. You'll learn about an ancient story that lays out the framework for not just getting enough money to pay your bills, but how to create generational wealth using what you already know, have, and can do. And you'll learn why I am super qualified, probably the only one on the internet that's qualified to take you from brilliant but broke to brilliant and generous on every occasion. But first, you got to qualify. I want to make sure this content is for you because I don't believe in wasting time, energy, or money. First, you got to understand and believe that you're brilliant, that you have something of value, that you're extremely intelligent or skillful. That's so important. Then you got to identify as being broke, not poor, broke. There's a difference. Broke means you're temporarily out of money. Notice, keyword, temporarily out of money. You have to want to recover. You must believe that you can recover. You just need guidance, consistency, and some effort. You got to be ready to do the work necessary. If that's you, you're in the right spot. I'm an expert at this, at making money and losing it. Because see, look, in 2006, I made $200,150.72. Here's the proof. Then, in 2012, I lost it all. I had to go through bankruptcy and foreclosure. And here's this proof. And just like a phoenix, I learned to rise from the ashes. And from 2020 to 2023, we made $3,794,241.88 selling t-shirts to teachers, which led to Shopify sending us this award for hitting 100,000 orders. Now, on to the ancient story. This ancient story is found in 2 Kings chapter 4. So I'm going to break it down after I read each line. That's what I'm going to do. So the wife of the son of the prophets cried to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know your servant feared the Lord, but the creditor has come to take my 2 sons to be his slaves." What is she saying? She's saying, Slim, look, hey, pastor, look here, man. You know my husband ran with y'all. He's part of the deacon board. You know he was up there with y'all on Sundays and Wednesdays, and every time these church doors open, he was there. I'm going to need you to tap that benevolent fund because we in debt. So she went looking for a handout. But the man of God said, Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what have you of sale value in the house?" Now that was a weird response. He said, "What you want me to do about that?" And then he asked her a question. What do you have of sale value? Because see, here's the thing. Questions steer focus. Questions steer focus. What do you have of sale value? Why did he ask her? Why did he say of sale value? Because see, he understood how and where money is made. Money is made in the marketplace, folks. That's it. It's made in the marketplace by the buying and selling of goods and services, which are simply solutions. And he knew that if she wanted to change her situation, she would have to go to the marketplace with what she already had. He didn't tell her to learn anything new. He didn't tell her to go get a certification. He asked her, what do you already have that's of value? That's important. And then she said, your handmaid has nothing in the house except a jar of oil. She discounted everything she had. Because she had been carrying it around for so long, she overlooked it. My question to you, what have you been carrying around? What have you had that you've been so close to that it doesn't feel like anything? It feels small and insignificant. But if you stop and think about it, oh, that thing can solve a problem. So when she identified it, he said, bet. Then he said, go around and borrow vessels from all your neighbors, empty vessels and not a few. What? He said, go borrow some vessels, empty vessels, and don't borrow a few. Now, I want you to think about something. She's already in debt, and she has to go borrow some vessels. What does that mean about her character? She can't be no cantankerous person. She can't be somebody that nobody likes. She can't be hard to get along with. Because if she was, people would not be able to help her. So you can't be somebody hard to get along with, a worrywart, complainer, because people won't be able to help you. And then he said, borrow not a few. See, he has insight. He has knowledge that she doesn't have. And when you go to somebody who's done things that you have not done, what they tell you to do probably not going to make any sense. Because he knew that she would probably stop at a couple of jars, but he knew that wouldn't be enough. So he had to tell her specifically, borrow not a few. Now, how does that relate to you? You have to go to the marketplace. You have to take inventory. You have to ask people, what problems do they have? You got to find out what problems do they have based upon what skills that you have. Because remember, she has identified her skill as oil. Her gift is oil. Once you identify your talent, your oil, then you have to go find the problems that these people have. Verse 4. This is the roadmap that she has to follow. This is your roadmap that you have to follow. This is the roadmap that I followed. You understand? And when you come in, shut the door upon you and your sons. Why? You got to cut off everybody from looking at you. You got to cut off your access to them and their access to you. Because they go, like, what in the world is Fitzgerald doing? They got jars of oil. What in the world? And it stops you from, man, Robin and ain't doing this. Oh my God, here I am trying this thing. It cuts all that out. It cuts all that out. It closing the door allows you to focus. And when you come in, shut the door upon you and your sons. Her sons were part of her team, part of her legacy. That's important. Then pour out the oil you have into all those vessels, setting aside each one when it's full. You have to go to work. You have to start creating solutions. You have to pour from what's in your hand of sale value. So she went from him and shut the door upon herself and her sons, who brought to her the vessels as she poured the oil. So she got the assignment. She went in, closed the door. Her and her sons went to work. Her and her team went to work. You understand? When the vessels were all full, she said to her son, bring me another vessel. And he said to her, there is not a one left. Then the oil stopped multiplying. Let's break that down. So they went to work. She created a system of production. I like to think of it as the younger son was probably the smaller one, the weaker one. So he brought the empty oil, the empty jars, and then mom would start pouring out her solution, filling the jars up. Once the jar was full, the older son would come and get it and move it, set it aside. So the one son would bring it, mom would pour, the older son set it aside. That was her system. She said to her son, bring me another vessel. And he said, Mom, we ain't got no more. And then the oil stopped multiplying. That's so important. Where there is no demand, the supply stops. So for you, do not try to supply where there's no demand. Only sell what people want to buy. Only sell what's in demand. So imagine this. They got all these jars of oil and she's still broke. She's still in debt. Living room full of oil jars everywhere. The creating of the solution is not your solution to being brilliant and broke. The creating of the solution is just a start. You understand? Because imagine this. The jars everywhere and they still ain't got no money. So she's like, oh my goodness, what do I do now? So then, verse 7, then she came and told the man of God. He said, go, sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons live on the rest. Now, you got to understand something. He told her to go. You got to take action. He didn't say, hey, give the jars back to the people who you borrowed them from. He didn't say, oh, donate the jars. He said, go sell the oil. If you're brilliant but broke, you have to go sell your value. You have to go sell your oil. Because selling is being of service. Selling is being of service. You got to understand this, people. Now, what does that look like? Here's a part that most people will miss. He said, go sell the oil. Let me read it exactly. Go sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons live on the rest. Go, sell, pay, live. Now, why is that important? Because she only had a finite number of jars. And if she had the commandment to live off the rest, her and her sons, back then they was living, 200-300 years. So that money had to last 2-3 generations. Think about that. So what does that mean to you? That means that she had to have a premium priced offer. She wasn't doing low ticket sales. She knew the value of her oil and she presented it as such. She didn't double take. She didn't say, oh no, that's too much money. My people can't afford that. Then those aren't your people. There is a marketplace full of people who value what you have. Your challenge is you just got to sell it to them at a premium price that will allow you to go from being brilliant but broke to brilliant and generous on every occasion.